Welcome back. If you are looking for signs that the economy is improving, you only need to look in Oshkosh. The Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce recently conducted its annual survey of 50 local business executives, and the economic outlook is bright, to the tune of at least $100 million of business development forecast for 2024. That's nearly double what the city saw in 2023, when a little over $57 million was invested in properties, both industrial and commercial. We're joined now by Rob Clayman. He is the president and CEO of the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce. So, Rob, let's just start with the obvious question here. Were you surprised by the results that you saw in your survey? Maybe not that they were good results, but maybe they were as good as they turned out to be.
You know, I would say we weren't surprised by the positivity of the results. We kind of know from a development perspective, at least in Oshkosh, we're doing very well. You know, we know that people are working, our businesses are doing well generally. So, you know, the results coming back from the survey that being generally positive wasn't really surprising, because we live in the economy every day and we kind of see what's happening here.
All right, you see what's happening there in your economy, and this optimism there is happening during a period, as we all know, of inflation, right? And some places are having trouble with worker shortages. So from that perspective, did some of this stuff surprise you?
Sure. I mean, those are, you know, some of the little pressures on the marketplace, whether it is rising interest rates, because some of the highest interest rates we've seen in quite some time. Seems to be maybe some stabilization there right now. Inflation obviously was a big concern. That seems to be stabilizing. And of course, you mentioned it, Chris, the labor supply, finding adequate qualified labor force. That is the number one issue that came out on our survey and continues to, you know, dominate every conversation we have with our local employers. But in spite of that, you know, we're a resilient market. I think the Oshkosh market being part of Northeast Wisconsin, the New North, and, you know, drilled down into the Fox River Valley, we kind of work together on all sorts of different things. We always say what's good for Oshkosh and is good for Appleton, or vice versa, Fond du Lac. I mean, we're all in this thing together here in the Valley, and the Valley's a really great place to do business, to live, to work.
All right, let's go back to one last thing on the labor shortages. You had 47% of respondents say they're still trying to fill openings. But I thought it was interesting that 81% of your respondents say they increased their wages in 2023. So there seems to be a willingness there to be competitive and combat this. Would you say that's a fair assessment? And is it that kind of willingness necessary to keep addressing this problem?
Well, I would say that's fair, yes. And certainly in a competitive labor and workforce environment, that happens, where wages are driven up. And I think companies and organizations that are innovative in some of their approaches and how they work with their staff and employees, I mean, those are the ones that are going to win. You know, where we were in the pandemic and the wage inflations we saw then, that's really not occurring at this point, and probably will not. So I think some of that stabilized, which is good for employers, but also it's still an employee's market. You know, it's a good time to be an employee in Northeast Wisconsin.
So the wages on the rise, that comes from the businesses themselves. What about the chamber? Have you guys engaged in programs, started programs in order to help bring more workers to the jobs that need them?
Well, absolutely. You know, one thing we do is we've got a separate position, education and talent department. We go right down into the high schools to work with high schools, middle schools, elementary, to work on programs that are really educating students, and not only students, but parents, about the careers that are going to be out there, you know, down the road. So I think, yes, there's the recruitment aspect to an employee, but it's also about educating our young talent that's right here in Oshkosh about the opportunities that are going to be out there, whether it's in the IT field, engineering, healthcare, or a technical related field. With UW Oshkosh being located here, Fox Valley Tech and their programming, those are really positive attributes for our region. And you know, UW Oshkosh attracts tons of students here every year, and the goal is to keep those students here in the state and in the Oshkosh region.
Let's circle back to the optimism and the good news that came out of this report. This isn't the first year you've done this, so I'm curious how you market this report to prospective businesses that might want to come into the Oshkosh area. How do you guys get this in front of people that need to see it, who are considering a move and a location?
Well, for sure. I mean, we share this information broadly, widely, and every day. I mean, certainly doing something like this with you is great for us, because we get to spread the good news about what's happening here and how our local CEOs are feeling, our business owners, our business managers. Because when they're feeling positive, I mean, they're some of the most optimistic people anyway that are in the marketplace. But when they're positive about where things are headed, I mean, they're in terms of investment and growth and investment in their companies, which ultimately results in business growth for our community and investment and tax base and really more jobs. I mean, that's what it's all about.
All right, Rob, congratulations on the successful survey and good luck in 2024. We appreciate the time.
Thanks very much for the opportunity, Chris. Thank you.